that Rotarians bring to Rotary to share with others. And it's interesting too, that business knowledge that they give out to others actually attracts more giving from partnership. And because of that, the 1.4 million Rotarians that we have around the world are able to maximize their impact through the partnerships of common love, common passion, common giving.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Michael and Zuleyha. I think what Zuleyha was saying really rang true to me. Yeah, Ramadan is a time of giving, and yes, not just giving things, giving your time as well. But charity, yeah, for us, well, it's about, I guess, purification of our hearts and souls, but also of our wallets. We earn money, we want that money to be halal, as we call it. So we do try to make sure we give all year round, but particularly in Ramadan. But yeah, thank you. So I guess. I think we're to the next question. We could talk forever about this, but we're on a time crunch at 7:09. Yeah. We all would like to break our fast on time. There's dates on the table which are tempting us. There's water. It's been a long day.
Yeah, we are working to time. So, I guess if you wanted to expand, is there any specific examples around sort of the giving? And a second part of that could be, are you finding that people, and it goes without saying at the moment, there are significant issues, troubles in various parts of the world, are more prepared to give now, or you find it more difficult to encourage people to give? Michael?
I attended a lunch at the Rotary Club of Melbourne last week, and they were talking about philanthropy and how around the world philanthropy is dropping, and we know this, we actually feel this, because even ourselves, we're feeling that pinch on our wallet. One of the things that encourages me about the giving that I see within Rotary goes back to that whole vocational thing. Often we think that money, and I say this with all due respect because it is based on what you just said, but the thing is, often we think that money is the only form of giving. I'll give you a little example for me. I grew up with 3 kids, and I'm a relatively young Rotarian. I say relative, but it means that I was struggling in my business when I was trying to raise the 3 kids, send them to uni, and I found that giving monetary through Rotary was really, really difficult. But I also, as you mentioned, I'm a tenor, and my vocation is singing. And so I found, and it was actually Roger Thornton over there who suggested to me that whenever I sing at a Rotary function, rather than giving money, arrange for people to donate into the foundation, our Rotary Foundation, on my behalf. And I realised that my vocation could be utilised as the purpose or the catalyst to raise the funds for giving. Now, everyone has a vocation, everyone has that diverse, unique value that you add to life. And so if you could tap into that and utilise that as the catalyst to allow giving to occur, that's certainly another approach to have giving continue in our society, albeit we are struggling financially.
And I do believe, I don't have stats, but research shows that those who are not so well off are those who are the most generous. And so that's very interesting because I guess they can empathise, or it could be that they've been in the situation of those people who are going through that hardship. But just also reflecting on what Michael said, I think, you took me back in my earlier days where I was a pharmacist in my previous life. I'm not sure if you knew that, Andrew. Yeah, you did? Okay. But to me, changing my profession was a form of giving as well. And I think, again, this highlights that giving goes above and beyond money, financial giving as well. Because I wanted to be doing something that's about education. And so that's where I got involved in Israel, the work I do. And I had to give up pharmacy. And that wasn't easy with my dad, let me say. He was like, oh my God, you're giving up your pharmacy degree. Is that why I sent you to uni? Who does that kind of thing? He came around eventually. But last year, end of last year, I went to a fundraiser and someone gave a lot of money at a fundraiser that I attended. And I said, may God reward you. You gave a lot, you were very generous. And she was like, I just gave money. She goes, you gave up your profession for your cause. And I thought, wow, I mean, when someone says it to you that way, you realise that giving does, like yours, Michael, does come in different shapes and forms. And I think within the Islamic tradition, this is very much emphasised, because there is a famous saying of the Prophet where he says, even smiling is charity. So charity is something where it benefits someone. And I just also want to make the point, when we say giving, we're actually receiving a lot of the time. It's like the notion of sacrifice. Are we really sacrificing, or are we benefiting ourselves? A lot of the time it's not that straightforward, where when you're giving, you're actually gaining so much.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. I see you know it, Roddy. You share that thought?
I certainly do. I mean, it was interesting. Councillor Jamal and I were just talking before, and we were talking about it becomes relative to the person, and that person may say it's a very little thing that they're giving at that time, but to others who are receiving it, it may be the biggest thing that they could ever have received. And a smile, like what you were saying, could be the thing that stopped someone thinking of doing the ultimate. It just made them realise that they exist. And so that's significant. You're absolutely right.
Thanks, Michael. We have other questions, but we don't have a lot of time. But I'm just curious whether anyone has a question from the floor that they would like to pose to the panel.
Oh, thank God.
For me, there's been there's been such a strong theme in what you've been talking about in terms of, giving is also about receiving, and it's not just about the dollar or whatever money is made available. It's you give in so many other ways, and the pharmacy example is it's incredible. You gave up a lot in terms of a financial outcome, but you're giving in so many, you would suggest, probably a more positive way to the broader community. I guess as a final sort of question, how do we more broadly get these sorts of messages out when we are at a function like this? Because in some respects, it's almost like preaching to the converted. So the challenge is to push this message more broadly.
I guess there's a number of things. Firstly, I suppose as organisations, I do feel like we need to, within, say, if we're in leadership roles, that we need to lead by example. So we really have to, if I'm expecting someone to give to my cause, whatever it might be, I need to be giving to that cause, probably much more than what they are. But also, we just have to highlight the need as well. I think it's like a marketing. I know it sounds very corporate, but it does require marketing. We need to put out there the needs. Where do people need to give? A lot of the time, people are wanting to give, I would say. I think inherently people have that generosity, but sometimes they don't know where to give. So if we, if institutions, organisations make that clear, if you give your money here, then this is how it will benefit. That can go a long way. But also just highlighting the benefits, I think, because as humans, we always think, what is it in it for me? And again, research shows that mental health-wise, those who give are in a better position, like highlighting that. From an Islamic perspective, there's a lot of motivators as well. Like Amira kind of touched on it. There's a saying of Prophet Muhammad where he says, you do not lose wealth by giving. That defies logic, it defies maths. But he basically he's saying, you're not going to lose wealth by giving wealth. Or you're not going to lose whatever you're giving by giving of it. And an analogy that's often used is like a flower where you prune it. So when you prune it, it's like you're cutting back, but when you actually prune it, it grows further. But also the sense that this blessing that's given to me, I'm just like the custodian of it for a while. And within it is a percentage that belongs to others. Like we humble ourselves and think, this wealth is with me for now, or these talents, or this vocation. While I have it, I need to do it justice, and part of that is giving to others. And that is their right. And that's the other thing, when we're giving, it's not like poor thing, you owe, I am doing you a favour. It's more, you're entitled to this, and it is my responsibility to ensure that you actually have it. So guess we need to change that thinking in the mindsets.
Sorry, I had to look at my watch because I'm about to say something and I need to make sure I don't go over time. But, do you know what's
Amira will hold you up, don't worry.
I know, Amira's hungry. One of the things that we as Rotarians are very, very guilty of is that we give of ourselves, we volunteer, we give everything, money, time, skills, and we don't like being recognised for it. And in fact, it's worked to our detriment because we're no longer telling our story. And I think it's really, really important not to tell the story that I did something, but more about the story of what the impact was on the people that benefited from what work we did. So I think it's really important to start that conversation of, if you give, don't think about the giving, think about the recipients and what they're now going to have different to before you gave. And so those stories need to come out. Education is certainly something that we need to do to allow that to occur. Interestingly, every single time you and I said something, and even you guys said something, we got a clap. And it's interesting how we're sitting up here sharing our views, giving our views out there, and we are being acknowledged by the claps that the room is giving us. Now that clap alone, we don't think much of it, and yet it makes us feel very, very thankful and very, very privileged to have been able to give what we're saying to the audience here, and the audience then acknowledging that. So I think recognising that people are giving is a really, really important thing to help with that. So it doesn't need to be, oh my gosh, let's put it on the front page. It could just be as, you know what, that was awesome, thank you. And, or even just a smile. And I think that changes the way people think about giving, because it's no longer seen as a chore. It becomes, again, that ikigai, that reason for being. We're there to help others. And this is where what you do and what Rotary does is synonymous.
Thank you, sir. And I like the point you finished on then because of the similarities between a faith and an organisation. And I guess when I first became involved with Rotary, it was this, your reason for being is this service above self. And that sort of really hit home to me as well. So I am just conscious of time, but some wise and insightful comments from both Michael and Zuleyha, and I'll ask you to please just thank them